We are discussing about probability, the possibility of something happening. So, in earlier discussions, we have learned about two approaches to the theory of probability. The first is statistical approach, and the second one is classical approach. The statistical approach, what we have discussed, also known as repeated experiments and observed frequency approach. So, in this approach, we have defined the probability of an event as the ratio of observed frequency to the total frequency. The classical approach, which also we have discussed, here we define the probability of occurrence of an event as the ratio of favorable number of outcomes to the total number of equally likely outcomes. Now, what does it mean? First of all, these equally likely outcomes are also known as elementary events associated with certain experiment. For example, in a die 1 to 6, so these are your elementary events 1 and till 6. But both the theories have some serious deficiencies and limitations. For instance, these approaches cannot be applied to the experiments which have large number of outcomes. We cannot apply here. And the classical definition of probability cannot be applied whenever it is not possible to make a simple enumeration of cases which can be considered equally likely. For instance, how does it apply to the probability of rain? What are the possible outcomes? We might think two cases: rain or no rain, rain or no rain. But any locality, any given locality or place, it will not usually be agreed that they are equally alike, right? The classical approach also fails to answer the question like, say, what is the probability that a male will die before the age of 60? Or you say, one more question, what is the probability that a bulb will burn in less than, say, 2000 hours? 2000 hours. In fact, the classical definition is difficult to apply as soon as we deviate from the experiments pertaining to coins, dice, cards, and other very simple games of chance. This classical approach, whenever we deviate from all these, we don't get things what we want. The statistical definition, they have difficulties from mathematical point of view because an actual limiting number may not really exist. That is, the actual limiting number is not there. For this reason, modern probability theory have been developed axiomatically because sometimes the actual limiting number may not really exist or we don't know. So we have a new word which has come up, axiomatically. How to deal the probability theory with this? So this theory of probability was developed by A.N. Kolmogorov. Kolmogorov. It's R also. Kolmogorov. Okay. Kolmogorov, now he is a Russian mathematician, 1933. So he laid down certain axioms to interpret probability. And he wrote a book, Foundation of Probability, and which was published in 1933. So this axiomatic definition of probability, it includes both the classical and the statistical approaches as particular cases and overcomes the deficiency of each of them. So in order to understand this approach, we must know about some basic terms. For example, random experiment, elementary events, sample space, compound events, etc. There are so many. So let us begin with the term random experiment. And then we'll try to understand this axiomatic way of approach. So the first thing first is random experiment. That is, there is no order. You don't know. For example, 1 to 10, you want a random number. Sometimes 2 can come, sometimes 6 can come, sometimes 9 may come. So there is no, prima facie or before understanding. So the word experiment means an operation which can produce some well-defined outcomes. Random experiments are those experiments. What does it mean? These are the operation which can produce some well-defined outcomes. So there are two types of experiments. The first is deterministic experiments and the second one is random or probability experiments. Please understand, random experiments can be divided into deterministic experiments and random or probabilistic or probability based experiments. So now question comes, what is this deterministic experiment? See, in our daily life, we perform many activities or experiments which always have fixed outcome or result or consequence, no matter how many times we do it or how many times do we repeat it. For example, a set of triangles. If a triangle is chosen, then even without knowing the three angles, we can definitely say that the sum of measures of angles is 180 degree. Any triangle. It can be isosceles, it can be equilateral, any triangle. You know it. So this kind of experiments are deterministic experiment. Now if I talk about random or probabilistic experiment. So if an experiment, when repeated under ideal conditions, same conditions for each experiment, do not produce the same outcome every time, but the outcome in a trial is one of the several possible outcomes, then such experiment is known as a probabilistic experiment or random experiment. For example, the outcomes cannot be predicted or determined. For example, a die 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 will come. Below 1 cannot come, over 6 it cannot come. Only integral numbers can come. For example, tossing a coin, you are not sure if head and tail will come, but you are sure that either head or tail will come. So this is a random experiment. As I said, rolling a unbiased die or drawing a card from well shuffled pack of playing cards are examples of random experiments. All these are random experiments. Now coming to the terminologies, sample spaces. Sample space. Now associated to every random experiment, there are two basic terms. First is the outcomes, or we call it as elementary events, and sample space. So with every random experiment, we have outcomes, that is the elementary events we are calling it. And the second one is the sample space. I'm writing it as SS. Sample space. So in order to understand sample space, we have to know elementary event. Elementary event are what? Elementary means if this, the kids are going to school, it's elementary level. So if a random experiment is performed, then each of its outcomes, result, is known as an elementary event. Each of its outcome is termed as elementary event. Right? You can say that outcomes of random experiment are known as elementary events. Elementary events are also known as simple events. So 1 to 6, if we throw a die, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These are elementary events. Then what is a sample space? When we do a random experiment, the set of all possible outcomes of a random experiment is called the sample space associated with it and generally denoted by capital S. See, when we threw the die, what did we get? 1 till 6 we got. Now we are arranging, these are elementary events. Now let us arrange them in a form of a set. There will be these curly brackets, not square bracket. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, we have made a set. Now this set is a sample space. Please understand, you have to go to the set theory to understand this. From 1 to 6, all these parts are known as elementary event. So when we combine this elementary event, for example, E1, E2, E3 till En, these are elementary event, for example, for random experiment. Now, For example, tossing a coin, E1 will be head, E2 will be tails. If you are throwing a die, E1 till E6 will come, E1 will be 1, E6 will be 6, like this. If I say that I am trying to put it in the set, it has to be a curly bracket because set always comes in a curly bracket. I'll take an example so that we understand this concept better. Consider the random experiment of tossing a coin. The possible outcomes of this experiment are head and tail. So let us define two things. Head and tail can come. So we define event. Event 1 is what? Getting head on the upper face. E1 is getting head on the upper face. And E2 will be getting a tail on the upper face. E2 is getting a tail on the upper face. So this E1 and E2 are elementary events. Because there is no other thing which can come. Either H or either tail. So experiment is basically, what is the experiment? Random experiment, tossing a coin. So even E2 are elementary events associated with the random experiment, tossing a coin. What is the sample space then? As I said, you have to take the elementary events, put it in the set. So let us take the set and put this E1 and E2, E1 comma E2. So this has to be in braces because it is a set. E1 comma E2 is our sample space. Okay. Now you know very well, E1 is what? Getting H. So let us write it H, and E2 getting tail, so T. This is a more formal way to, informal way to put it. Okay. So these are sample spaces. We talked about elementary event and sample space. Now next thing which comes here is, I talked about events so many times. So the question should come in your mind, what are events? This content is from R.D. Sharma, okay? And this is just for your reference. If you don't have a book, you know from where I'm actually taking the content. Event. What is an event? For example, marriage, birthday party, all these are events in our house, day-to-day life. In mathematics, event is a subset of the sample space associated with a random experiment. A subset of the sample space associated with a random experiment. This is called an event. Right? So we have a die. Why I'm taking example of die? Because it's quite simple to understand. Dice, D-I-C, die we call it. So let us take the random experiment, throwing a die. So what is the sample space associated with this experiment? We already know. It's S equals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So these are elementary, 1 till 6 are elementary events and S is the sample space. So how many subsets are possible? Can you tell me? Always we take 2 and to the power of number of elements in set. So 2 to the power 6 because 6 elements are there. Elementary events are 6, so 2 to the power 6. So 64 subsets are here. These are the possible of subset. For example, let us take subset 1. 1 is a subset. Say 1, 2 is a subset. And let us take 4, 5, 6 as a subset. These are all subsets. Which can be, you have to go to the set theory, you have to understand, you know set theory, then only you will be able to understand all this. So what are the events now? Okay, now let us formally make the events now. Say we have a set A, there is a set A, and which is saying, I'm just putting some certain numbers, 2, 4, 6. Can you tell me what is this subset? Or what is this set? Let us take one more, say 1, 3, 5. Let us take one more, which is 3, 4, 5, 6. This is all I'm making from the S. These are all the subsets from S only. One more D, 1, 2, 6. Now A can be named. A is a proper set getting an even number from sample space S. So getting an even number. 2, 4, 6 are even numbers. B is getting an odd number. So this is a proper set which can be named. C is a set getting a number greater than 2. Number which is getting greater than 2. Okay. So these events can be named. A, B, C, D are all the events associated with a sample space of a random experiment. D, I don't have any explanation. I don't have any name. Or I cannot name anything. But A, B, C can be named. D cannot be named. But D is also a set. So A, B, C, D all are set. There is no general description in words for the event D. So some events associated with the random experiment may be described in words. However, it is not possible for every event. So take the elementary event, make a set. And if you take any subset of this sample space is called an event. You understood the idea of event now? From the random experiment, then sample space, elementary event, then we came to event. Now, when will you say that the event has occurred or occurrence of event? See, an event A associated to a random experiment is said to occur if any one of the elementary events associated to it is an outcome. What does it mean? If an elementary event E is an outcome of a random experiment and A is an event such that E belongs to capital A, we say that event A has occurred. Somewhat confusing. So let us take an example. Let me tell you again. If an elementary event E is an outcome of a random experiment and A is the event, then we say E belongs, and such that E belongs to A, we say that A has occurred. Let us come to the example because this is somewhat complicated definition. Consider a random experiment of throwing a unbiased die which we just took. Same thing we have taken. So A is the event what? Is an even number. A is the event of getting an even number. Then what is A? It's 246. Now, this A is 246. Now, suppose in a trial the outcome is 4. A is a subset. And we say we throw a die and the trial has given 4. A is 246, which is getting an even number. And 4 has come when we throw a die. Then we say event has occurred because 4 belongs to A. Okay, 4 belongs to A. A is the set of even numbers. Event A has occurred. Now when we throw a die, and for example, 4 has not come, this time say 1 or say 3 has come. Either 1 or 3, because 1 and 3 or 3 is not belonging to this 246. So 3 is subset of A. So we say event A has not occurred. Event A has not occurred. Okay. This is the occurrence of event, a non-occurrence of event. What we discussed earlier was about events. So we talked about event, occurrence of event, etc. Sample space also we took, elementary events we took. Now we just go ahead and we'll see the algebra of events. That is, algebra means simply if you have 2 plus 3. So you're combining two values or more than two values and you have an operator between two values. Now we have different kind of events. That is how new events can be constructed by combining two or more events associated to a random experiment. That is, we have a random experiment and we say we have certain elementary events E1, E2 or the normal events A1, A2 like this. So if we are able to combine them, let us say we have A or B and then we say A and B, A or B and A and B. So in digital logic we have explained it quite well. So it's electronics, computer science, mathematics, this OR and AND operator remains same. So this is a random experiment. So A and B are two events. Sample space is S. Then we define the event A or B, which is said to occur if an elementary event favorable to either A or B or both is an outcome. So what we say, in other words, the event A or B occurs if either A and B or both occur. That is, at least one of A and B occurs. So how do we represent it? A or B as A union B. So this is how we represent it for the sample space S. Now what is this? Let us take an example also. Let us take a die. So we throw a die, a single throw of a die. So we know in a die there are 6 possible outcomes, 1 till 6. So we say A is an event of getting an even number. So I am writing it in short. B, this one event is getting an even number and B is another event which is getting a multiple of 3. Getting a multiple of 3. So these two events for a sample space Let us make a sample space. What are the possible outcomes? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So these two events are described by the sets. First is even number are what? 2, 4 and 6 here. 2, 4 and 6 are the only even numbers. And what about B? B is multiple of 3. So this will be 3, 6. Okay. So A union B is the combination of all the content inside. That is all the event. That is combine all the elements of A, combine all the element of B. Right. So see, A and B, A or B will give you all the elements. So we have 2, 4, 6 and 3, 6, just combined it. Just combined it. So this is A union B. So let us combine this. This is 2. And then we have this as 2, 4 and 6 already there. 3 is also there and 6 we will write it once. So 2, 3, 4 and 6. 2, 3, 4, 6. Combining A and U. So either A will happen or B will happen or both A and B will happen. So 2, 4, 6, 2, 3, 4, 6 is A union B. You can also A, B, C, if these are 3 events associated to a random experiment, similarly, then A union B union C denotes the occurrence of at least one of the 3 events. Okay. Now coming to A and B, this is also algebra of events. So the event A and B is said to occur if an elementary event favorable to both A and B is an outcome. In other words, the event A and B occurs if A and B both occur. So they have to occur simultaneously. Then only it will be true. So the event A and B is denoted by A and there will be a upright U sign between them. So let us take again an example of die. A is the event getting an even number on first die. Getting an even number on first die. So this is our sample space 1 to 6. So A is 2, 4, 6. What is B? Getting 8 as the sum of numbers on 2 dice. That is, if we throw 2 die, the number has to come 8. The number has to come 8. So what are the possibilities? See, you have to take 2 numbers that adds up to 8. So 2 and 6 makes 8. 6 and 2 also makes 8. 3 and 5 makes 8. 5 and 3 also makes 8. And because we are throwing dice for 2 times, 4, 4 is also the option. So 3, 5, 5, 3, 6, 2, 2, 6 and 4, 4. So let me write it again. A was the set getting an even number, that is 2, 4, 6. B is the event of getting 8 as the sum of the number of 2 dice being thrown. So 3, 5, 5, 3, 2, 6, 6, 2. And then we have 4, 4 also. 4, 4. Right? Okay. So now if you take these 2 sets and make an intersection, what are the numbers here in B you see in A also? That is the, see 2 is 6 is there. 6, 2 is also there in A. And 5 and 3 are not there. 3, 5 is also not there. 4 is there, so 4, 4 is there. So this set, A intersection B, we have to take the common values of these two. Okay, I have made this set B difficult just to understand that how does it work for A intersection B. Now coming to negation of an event. What will be the negation, negative of an event? So corresponding to every event A associated to a random experiment, we define an event not A which is said to occur when and only when A does not occur. That is, A occurs, negation is A will not occur. Something happens, the negation is that thing won't happen. Okay, let us take again the example of throwing a die. So we have a set A which is odd number. So it's just, if you play Ludo, you will see this die you use. So this is the sample space of a die. Now we are saying odd number. A is odd number. 1 and 3 and 5. So not A means you just subtract this A from S. S minus A is not A. S is what? 1 till 6. A is what? 135. Now remove 135 from S. So just cancel out 135. Whatever is remaining, 246 is going to come. So 246 is nothing but your set which is negation of A. Negation. Okay, because even will come, odd won't come, and when odd will come, even won't come. So negation is simply just you also call it as complementary event. So for every set there is a negation also, complementary event. Sometimes the occurrence of one event implies the occurrence of another. If we throw a die, okay, if we say some set is there, A is 2, 4, B is 2, 4, 6. That is, if A happens, B happens, or rather say B happens, A happens. So let us again understand it by example. A is say 2, 4 and B is say 2, 4, 6. Okay. So one will happen, the other will happen. So we will relate them by subset theory. So see, 2, 4 is a subset of 2, 4, 6. So that means when A happens or when B happens, A also will happen. B implies A. That is, C. Take another set C. C 4, 6 is happening, 2, 4, 6 is already there. So if 2, 4, 6 happen, 4, 6 will automatically be there. And when 2, 4, 6 will happen, 2, 4 will always happen. So A is a subset of B. C is a subset of B. That is, if A implies B or C implies B or vice versa, then one has to be the subset of another. That will give you A implies B, or a set or an event implies another event. This is also algebra of event. Okay. Say if I say 3, 5 set. Now 1, 3, 5 and 3, 5 they are subset. But 3, 5 and this A set and B won't happen. Okay, now let us take an example. So we have not A, so we put a bar on A. A or B, that is at least one of A or B, A union B, right? A and B we write A intersection B. This U will become upright. A but not B is A intersection B not, that is B complement. Neither A nor B. A complement intersection B complement. A complement intersection B complement. And so mostly if you see intersection is there, at least one of A, B or C. So one of these will happen. So A union B union C. If it is there, exactly one of A and B. So A intersection B naught first you will take, then A intersection A naught intersection B you will take, and then you will combine it with union. All three of ABC, A intersection B intersection C, all three. Exactly 2 of A, B and C. So this is, see, A intersection B intersection C complement, union A intersection B complement intersection C, and then union of A negation intersection B intersection C. Exactly 2 of ABC. Okay. Now let us take an example of this, because this becomes very important, because and, or, not, all are there. So I'll take an example of this. So you can say illustration. So the question here is, please understand the question first. This is the question we are taking. ABC are 3 arbitrary events. We have to find the expression for the events which are noted below in the context of A, B and C. So see here, A and B and C are 3 events. So only A occurs. First is only A occurs. That is, when A will occur, B and C won't happen. So B and C negation. A occurs means A. So just take intersection. Mostly you have to take intersection. Okay. Second one. Both A and B but not C occur. Say A, B and C just write. Negate C because C is not happening. and then use the intersection sign. So A intersection B intersection C naught. Okay. When we say both, and you must see the question. If it is saying and, you will use and. Third is all the three event occur. A and B, C, all these three are there. So take the intersection of all these three. All the three events occur. So they have to occur at the same time. That is why we are taking intersection. A, B, C, all have to be happening same time. Fourth, at least one occurs. So any of one happens. So A, B, C. So you can, it's easy way. Means the conditions are not strict. Either of one will happen. So you'll see A union B union C. And in the previous one, third one, third one, and all of these three should occur. Now the next one will be at least two occur. So at least two occur means A intersection B, okay, then union B intersection C, at least two occur. So we are making two happen. So two combination we are taking A B B C A C. So this is saying at least two occur. So three may also occur. Means at least two means three can also happen. No, so we are taking a 2-2-2 combination. 2-3 combination also we have to take. So 1, 2, 3, and then when all the three occurs. So now we'll take the union of this. Now sixth is 1 and no more occurs. 1 and no more occurs. So what does it mean? That is, one should happen, other two should not happen. One happens, other two should not happen. So just take A, B, C, and at a time make the other two as not happening. So A, B not happening, C is happening. So A intersection B intersection C with A, B negated. Now A, B, C again with B and C negated. A, B and B, C we have taken. So A, C will take. A complement, C complement. And now all with intersection, and then you have to combine them. Okay. So take one by one, and then just take the union of all these. Okay. Now coming to the seventh one. Seventh is saying two or more occur. So two should occur, or more, two and no more occur. See, the question is two and no more occur. So what we'll do? 1, 2 or no more. Okay. So 2 has to happen. Third should not happen. So A, B and C bar, A bar and B, C, and A, C and B bar. Now take the intersection and then combine it using a union. Coming to eighth, none occurs. So it's very easy. None occurs means just take all of this negation and take the intersection. None of them occur. So A naught, B naught, C naught, intersection. Not more than 2 occurs. So not more than 2 occurs means not more than 2 occurs. Okay, so what we'll do here is not 2 we have seen already. Not 2 happening we have seen already. And not 1 also we have to combine. So not 2 is this one. Not 2 was this one. And not 1 also we have to combine. So 6th and 7th we have to combine. Okay. Not more than 2 occurs. So more than 2 cannot happen. 2 is this, 2 is this, and 1 is the 7th one. So this all combination you have to take. Total combination. Okay. So you have to take all these 6th and 7th and combine it. So just say it is X, Y, Z and this is P, Q, R. So what we'll do? X, total X you have to take like this. X, Y, Z, and A, this P, Q, R. So all these take a union. Okay, this is the final one. The question was not more than 2 occur. Not more than 2 occur. So we have to combine 6 and 7. So we talked about events. What are events and terminology related to it. Now the thing comes is types of events. So we need to understand that what are certain events, impossible event, compound event. So let us say that we have n elementary events associated with a random experiment. For example, if you toss a coin, head and tail are the elementary event and the experiment is tossing a coin. So the corresponding sample space has n elements. How many elements are here? 2 elements. N elements. So in this example, we have 2 elements. Okay. So for any general case, n elements, let us suppose. So how many subsets it will make? See, sample space has n element. What will be the subset? 2 to the power n. See, h and t, 2 are the values. Okay, if you take a die. So how many elementary events are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have 6 elementary events. In first case 2, here 6. So what will be the subsets? 2 to the power n. We have already seen that in the previous discussion. So each subset of S is an event associated to the random experiment and the sample space is the universal set of these events. Okay. For example, if I take 2 and 4 from here, or say 4, 5, 6 from here, or say 1, 6 from here, these are all different events and they are the subsets also. They are different. But they are subset of the main set sample space also. So now these 2 to the power n events, which we are calling as 2 to the power n subsets, they are divided into different types on the basis of their nature of occurrence. So the first is certain or sure event. So an event associated with a random experiment is called a certain event if it always occurs whenever the experiment is performed. For example, let us say getting an even number or an odd number. See, we have an OR here, even number or odd number. So when you throw a die, either 1 will come, 2 will come, 3 will come, 4 will come, 5 will come, or 6 will come. So the sample space is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These are all the possibilities. This is the sample space of elementary 6 events. Now 1, 3, 5 are odd numbers, 2, 4, 6 are even number. So if you have an event getting an even number or odd number, whenever you throw a die, either the number will be even or odd number. So this is a sure event. Every time either a even or odd number will come. So this is called a certain or a sure event. Now if I say that opposite of sure is impossible event. So it's you can say complementary to sure event. So an event associated with a random experiment is called an impossible event if it never occurs whenever the experiment is performed. If it never occurs. Same example we are going to take. So we say that a number which is coming is 7. Okay. Now you throw a die and the event is 7 should come. How can 7 come? The die only contains from 1 to 6. So it is an impossible event. 7 will not come. 8 will never come in a single throw of die. So this event of getting a 7 on a single throw of a die, fair die, this is an impossible event. So A cannot occur at all. So we call it as a null set. A is the null set. Null set, or you can call it as an empty set, and it is represented by 5. Represented by 5. So even represented by 5 is an impossible event. It's an impossible event. So these are two types of event. Now coming to compound event. Now what is a compound event? An event associated with a random experiment is a compound event if it is the disjoint union of 2 or more elementary events. Okay, what does that mean? That is, other than elementary event and impossible event associated with a random experiment, all events are compound events as they are obtained by combining 2 or more elementary events. Please understand, 2 or more. Second thing, other than elementary event and impossible event. And the definition is also talking about if it is the disjoint union of 2 or more elementary events. 2 or more elementary events. Okay. Now understand this. If you throw a die, okay, how many elementary events are there? And what are the total number of events? And what is the number of impossible event? Now you will get compound event. How? See, the definition is somewhat confusing, but I am saying that elementary event, total number of event, and the impossible event. Now, throwing a die. Now, understand this example very carefully. As I said, how many subsets are possible? 2 to the power n. In a die, how many elementary events are there? These are 6. This sample space has an element. So, how many subsets will be there? Because n is 6, so 2 to the power 6 is 64. So, 64 is the total number of subset. And I am saying remove elementary events and an impossible event from it. So, there will be one impossible event. Why? Because all the elements which are not in the elementary event, they will always be the impossible event. Because you say 7 will come, it's an impossible event. Say 100 will come, it's an impossible event. So we assume 1 as an impossible event. Okay. So 1 is the sure event, 0 is the impossible event. So we are taking one event as impossible event. And how many elementary events are there? 6. So we are adding the elementary event and the impossible event, and we are subtracting it for the total number of subsets. 64 minus 6 plus 1. 64 minus 6 plus 1, that is 64 minus 7. 57 is the total number of compound event. 57 is the total number of compound event. I hope you got the idea. Okay. Okay. So let me tell you again. Compound events, all the possible events you take. First of all, you have to have a sample space and you know how many elementary events are there. So you'll take all the subset. So you will first remove all the elementary event, number of elementary event. You subtract n. Then you subtract the impossible event, which is always 1. Why? Because anything which is not in the elementary event, that is always be impossible. So always there will be one impossible event, because the possibility or probability is from 1 to 0. That we will talk about in axiomatic. But for now, impossible event is the number of impossible event is 1. So whole of the subset, subtract the elementary event, subtract the impossible event. So you will get what? 2 to the power minus n plus 1 is the compound event. Okay. Now coming to mutually exclusive event. Mutually exclusive event. So 2 or more events associated with a random experiment are said to be mutually exclusive or incompatible events if the occurrence of any one of these prevents the occurrence of all others. That is, if 2 or more of them can occur simultaneously in the same trial. No two or more of them can occur simultaneously in the same trial. We also call it as incompatible. Okay. So one is happening, it will prevent the occurrence of another. The second is happening, it will prevent the occurrence of the first one. Okay, what does that mean? Let us understand with an example. So elementary events are always mutually exclusive, right? So in Ludo we play using die. So this die, the sample space is how much? 1 till 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, now you see how I make mutually exclusive event. First event I have taken getting an even number. Even numbers are what? 2, 4, 6. The second event I am taking is getting an odd number. What is this? Odd number is 1, 3, 5. 1, 3 and 5. This is odd number. Now C is getting a multiple of 3. One more set I am taking. It's a multiple of 3. What are multiple of 3? 3 and 6. 3 and 6. Okay. Now, when you take the intersection of two set and you get a phi, you get a null set. Then you say they are mutually exclusive. They have nothing in common. See, A and B, there is nothing common. 2, 4, 6, 1, 3, 5. There is nothing common. So A and B intersection is giving me a phi, which is a null set. There is nothing common. So that is A and B are mutually exclusive events. A and B are mutually exclusive events. Now one more example I am taking. Now A and C. If you see, A has 2, 4, 6 and C has 3 and 6. So we have 6 common. In A and C, 6 and 6 are common. So A intersection C is not equal to phi, it's not equal to null set. That means A and C are not mutually exclusive. They are not mutually exclusive. Okay? A haven't stopped C, C haven't stopped A. That is, these two events are not mutually exclusive, but A and B are definitely mutually exclusive events. For example, we are playing a card. You know, in a card, either it will be a red card or a black card. So if I take an event A as getting both red cards, B as getting both black card, or even if you take only one card, getting a red card, when you get a red card, it will not be a black card. Black card, it will not be a red card. Okay. Now coming to exhaustive event. So exhaustive event, when a person runs, he gets fatigue after some time. So he gets exhausted. So exhaustive event, you can relate with that. Okay. Two or more events associated with a random experiment are exhaustive if their union is the sample space. That is, events A1 till AN associated with a random experiment with sample space S are exhaustive if A1 union A2 union all AN equals S. So if we have A1, A2, AN, these are N events. We have a sample space. These are all the events. If I take the union of this, all of these, if it is coming sample space, we call A1 till AN as exhaustive events. So two or more events are exhaustive if their union is the sample space. We are going to combine them, take the union, and if it gets to a sample space, we say, oh, it's an exhaustive event. Now, I'll take an example here. Die you have already seen. See, all elementary events associated with a random experiment form a set of exhaustive events. That is also true. So now let us again go to the die. Now I'm making certain events. A1 is getting an even number. Again 2, 4, 6. A2 is an event which is getting an odd number, which will be 1, 3 and 5. A3 is getting a multiple of 3. So we have multiple 3s are 3 and 6. So 3 and 6 getting a multiple of 3. Okay. Now one more event I am adding, which is getting a number which is greater than 3. A number which is greater than 3. So what are the numbers greater than 3? 4, 5, 6. So let us write 4, 5, 6. Now, what are exhaustive events? If I take A1 union A2, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 and 6. Now you see, when I combine this, it is a sample space. So when you take the union of these two sets and you get a sample space, these two sets or these two events are, these are exhaustive system of events. Exhaustive, right? Exhaustive. Okay. Now let us take an example of events which are non-exhaustive. Now take A1 and A3. Now combine them. Take the union of them. So we have 2, 4, 6 and 3, 6. So 2, 4, 6 and 3, 6. So A3 is 3, 6. Just add it here and put it here. So 1 is not there and 5 is not there. So it is not making a sample space. So when you take the union of A1 and A3, you are not getting sample space. And when you are not getting a sample space, that means these are not exhaustive event. That is, these are not exhaustive event. Okay. There is one more thing which is coming. One more type is mutually exclusive and exhaustive system of event. That is, it has to be mutually exclusive also, and it has to be exhaustive system of events also. Right? So how to do this? How to understand this? If you assume S to be the sample space associated with a random experiment, then a set of events A1 till AN is said to form a set of mutually exclusive and exhaustive set system if we have two conditions. So S is a sample space and we have A1 till AN. These are the events. These are mutually exclusive and they are exhaustive system of events also. They are both mutually exclusive and exhaustive also. So there has to be two conditions which it should follow. First is A1 union A2 till AN. All the events, if you take the union, it has to be a sample space, which we already know. In exhaustive, mutually exclusive is what? The first condition is of exhaustive system. The second is, if we take intersection of any of these two sets, which you are taking in the union, or the intersection should be phi. That means there should be nothing common between A1 and A2 or AI and AJ. I and J should not be equal. Okay, I and J should not be equal. So these are the first one was for exhaustive, second one was for mutually exclusive. That is why if both conditions are followed, we say it is mutually exclusive and exhaustive system of events as well. Okay, let us take one more example. Again, we'll take a die. Now A is, say, even number, B is odd number. Now if you see, even number is 246, odd number, the event is 135. Now if you take the intersection of A and B, you will get a 5 because there is nothing common between 246 and 135. Nothing common, so second holds. These are mutually exclusive. And when I take the union of this, A union B, what do I get? 135 and 246. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all of them we get. So A union B is giving me sample space and A intersection B is 5. That means both of the condition is true, and we are saying it is mutually exclusive as well as exhaustive system of events. So one more type of events can be possible. That is favorable elementary events. So S is the sample space which is associated with a random experiment. Then, and say A be an event associated with this experiment. Then elementary events belonging to A are known as favorable elementary events to the event A. Okay. So all the elementary event of event A are the favorable elementary events. Favorable means whatever we wanted has come. We wanted even number, 246 has come for a die. We wanted odd number, 135 has come. So 246 are favorable for even case, 135 are favorable for odd. Okay. Let me tell you again. If S is a sample space with some random experiment, A is an event associated with an experiment. So the elementary events belonging to A are known as favorable elementary events to the event A. So an elementary event E is favorable to an event A if the occurrence of E ensures that happening or occurrence of event A. Again, let us take an example of die. In die, so we have sample space, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now getting, say, multiple of 3, we already seen. Let us take one more example. Let us take an example of, say, getting 8 as the sum. So in this first one, that is multiple of 3, this E1 and E2, 3 and 6 are the favorable elementary event of an event which is multiple of 3. Okay. Now let us take one more example of a die getting 8 as the sum when we throw a pair of dice. 2 die we are throwing. So 2, 6, 6, 2, 4, 4, 5, 3, 3, 5. Please remember we are throwing 2 dices. So one can have one number, one can have another number. And it has to be between 1 and 6. So when in this, which are the favorable cases? So all these 2, 6, 6, 2, 4, 4, 5, 3, 3, 5, because 1, 5 can also come, 3, 2 also can come. But all these which I noted here, these are the elementary events which are favorable elementary events to the event which is getting a sum of 8 when a pair of dice is thrown. I hope you got the idea. Sometimes 3 may come, the 2 die, 3 comes and 6 comes. So 3 and 6 will not give you 8, so that is a non-favorable event. If 1 and 6 will come, 1 in one die, 6 and other die, 7 will come, that is non-favorable. But 2, 6, say 1 and 4, not favorable. 2, 6, 6, 2, 4, 4, 5, 3, 3, 5 are favorable events. And these are not favorable events. These are favorable elementary events. Elementary events. Now today we will see the axiomatic approach to probability. So the axiomatic approach to probability is deduced from the mathematical concept laid down in the previous discussions we had. So it is based upon certain axioms. Probability, just remember 1 and 0 values are there, and there will be, all the values will be between 1 and 0. So in axiomatic approach, it is based on certain axioms. We'll see those axioms. There are 3 axioms. So in this approach, for a given sample space associated to a random experiment, the probability is considered as the function which assigns a non-negative real number, which is represented by PA, to every event A. So this non-negative real number is called the probability of that event A. So the probability, let us understand again. Probability is basically a function in axiomatic approach, and this function will be a non-negative number. It will be a non-negative number, so probability can never be negative. First thing. Second thing, it will be a real number. Okay, because if you see 1 and 0, you give 0.8. 0.8 is non-negative and it is also a real number. So PA, so we are saying we are any random experiment. We take any random experiment, there will be a sample space, and this random experiment with a sample space, we have an event which is we are calling it as A. So every event we can give a value. So this value is given by a function. So this value which is given by a function P for an event A is called the probability. Okay, let me tell you first mathematically, then we'll take the example. So I am making a sample space S, and we are saying let S be W1, W2, W3 till Wn, and this be the sample space associated to some random experiment. So then a function P which assigns every event A which is belonging to S. So function is always with a round. For example, in C, C++ sign bracket, that is a function. So every function has a round bracket. So this function which is giving for every event, and this event has to be the subset of this S sample space. Means all the elementary event which are coming in A should be in sample space. For example, W1, W2 we are taking, and we are saying that this A is an event. This is a subset of S. So for this event A, we are assigning a value which is a function PA. So function which is assigning a value, a non-negative real number value to this event PA is the probability. So what are these are three axioms basically. Two we'll discuss just now. The first axiom is for every PWI, that is all the probability values, any probability values will always be greater than or equal to 0 and less than or equal to 1. Axiom 2 is saying if you add all the events, the probability of all the events which are possible, so PW1, PW2, PW3, happening of W1, W2 like this, and these are the events and we are assigning, we just add them. Okay, so when we add them, it is going to be 1. The value will be 1. So addition of all the possible event, this probability has to be 1. There is one more axiom that we'll discuss just now, but after taking an example. So let us take an example. So let us take an example of a coin. Now, we are taking an example of tossing a coin. We are considering the example tossing a coin. So you know, in tossing a coin, we can either have a head or a tail. So what is the sample space? You know, only head and tail can come. So the sample space will be head, comma, t. So this is the sample space. Only these are the possibility. So the sample space associated to this random experiment is S, which is h, comma, t. So if we assign the number half, which is actually the probability, to each of the outcomes, which is the elementary events h and t, that is probability of head is half and probability of tail is half. Probability of getting a head is half, probability of getting a tail is half. Okay, so now let us see whether these axioms or this assignment of half of value satisfy the first two axioms or not. What were the two axioms? As I said, there is one more axiom, but we are taking two axioms which are important. Okay, so PH is what? PH is coming head when we toss a coin, and the probability of tail coming is PT. So they both are between 0 and 1, because we have assigned a value half which is 0.5. So 0.5 is between 0 and 1 in both the cases. So now we can say that first axiom is true. First axiom we have proved. Okay. Now coming to the second axiom, what it is saying? It is saying when we add these two, it should come 1. So probability of H and probability of T, which has been assigned half of 1. Oh, so good. Half and half is 1. So that is when we added these two, and it has come 1. So the first axiom is also satisfied, and the second axiom is also satisfied when we assigned half value to H and T. Now I am just changing the game. I am giving the probability PH, that is the function probability of happening H. I am giving a value of 1 by 8. Now I am giving the value of PT, P function T, as 3 by 8. So 1 by 8 and 3 by 8, these are the values. Okay. Now 1 by 8 and 3 by 8, we have to check that whether this probability is correct or not. So first thing is 1 by 8 and 3 by 8. If you find out the value, they will be between 0 and 1. It is quite seen here. Okay, 0.25 1 by 8 will come. So this is very easy. But when we add them, ph plus pt, it has to come 1. But it is not coming 1. 1 by 8 plus 3 by 8 is 4 by 8, which is half, which is 0.5. So that means 0.5 is coming, 1 is not coming. So 1 by 8 and 3 by 8, which we assign, is not the correct probability. It is not the probability because we are assigning the wrong values. So the non-negative real number which we have assigned 1 by 8 and 3 by 8 is incorrect because the axioms are not being satisfied. Okay, there are certain more things which we need to understand. The first thing is, see, if I have or we have a sample space, we say we have W1, W2, W2, so Wn. So if S be the sample space associated to a random experiment such that all the outcomes, these elementary events W1 till Wn, are equally likely to occur, that is, the chance of occurrence of each elementary event is same. That is, if you toss a coin, you know very well the probability of getting a H and T are equally likely. You cannot say that tail will only come. You cannot say head will only come. Why we assigned half in the previous case? We assigned the value of half because we know that H and T, coming of head and coming of T, is equally likely, right? So we have this half and half, 0.5, 0.5, we are saying it as PP because all the events are equally likely. We are saying all the events are equally likely, right? So this W1, W2 till Wn, all the events, the possibility of these coming is P. So PW1, PW2, PW3, all are P. So you take any one of these. PWI, you can say I is from 1 to n. So when we say PW3, it is to be P. PW4, it is P. PW10, it is P. Okay. So now this P which we are assigned has to be between 0 and 1. This is the rule of probability. So now every probability is P because they are equally likely. But if you remember, what is the axiom number 2? If we add all these probability, it has to come 1. So let us add them. PW1 plus PW2 plus PW3. All these add till PWN, and this has to come 1, right? But we know that PW1, PW2, all these probability are P because they are equally likely. For example, we saw in the head and tail. So this is P, this is P, this is P, all are P. And these are n times because there are n elements, n elementary events. So this is going to be NP, MP equals 1. So what is the probability? So probability is equal to 1 by n. So this is what you have to learn, that 1 by n is the probability when all the events are equally likely. So the sample space is head and tail. So how many numbers are there? Elementary event 2. So what is the probability of getting head? 1 by n, which is 1 by 2. Again 1 by n, which is 1 by 2. So 1 by 2, 1 by 2. If you are throwing a die, 1 till 6 can come, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 can come. So the probability of getting any one of these numbers, say 3, 4, 7, any of these getting is 1 by 6 because n is how many numbers you are getting, how many numbers you have elementary event. Okay. So now we are getting the actual definition. Now whatever we have learned, this is the main key point which you need to learn. First thing is all the questions we are going to do by this only. This is the actual definition of probability. This is the actual definition. So if probability of event A happening is m by n. M are the favorable events and n are the total number of events. Okay, m favorable events and total possible event. See, in die, what is the probability of coming 3? You know 1. Total number is how many numbers are there? 6. So 1 by 6. So any of 1 is coming, or probability of getting any number is 1 by 6. But if you say even number, see, let me write it again. Sample space is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So probability of getting an even number is 2, 4, 6. So 2, 4, 6 is the sample space. So there are 3 numbers coming. So probability is 3 are the favorable cases and 6 are the total number of cases. So say 3 by 6 is the probability of getting even number. Even for the odd number also it will be 3 by 6. So PA equals m by n. How has it come? How has it come? Let us see the proof also. Because if you learn this, all the questions of probability will be by m by n only. If you remember, I told you there are 3 axioms. So the third axiom was that for any event A, which is A belonging to the sample space, PA equal to sigma P, WK is basically belonging to A, the event. The number P, WK is called the probability of elementary event WK. W sub K basically. Okay, so what we are saying? We are adding it, sigma WK. This is probability of event A happening. So this WK has to belong to that event A. So when we start adding it, as I said, all the probability is 1 by n because they are equally likely. They are equally likely. So how many are these? As I'm saying that it is m times, because m are the favorable cases. M are the times when the value comes which we desire. So when we are saying that m times our favorable cases is coming, so 1 by n is the equally likely, so 1 by n, it goes up to m times. Why m times? Why m times? Because m are the favorable cases. The number of times we have done is m times. So probability is m by n, because when we add them, it is m by n, and this is the value which is the actual probability. For example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, this is a die, and we say what is the probability of getting odd number? 1, 3, 5 is the set of odd number. So favorable is 3, 1, 3, 5 numbers are 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 numbers are 6. So 3 by 6, which is half. So 0.5 is the axiomatic probability, right? Okay, now it is clear. Now please remember that probability of an event, which I am saying is m by n, will always be between 0 and 1. How to prove this? We can prove this also. If there are n elementary event associated with a random experiment and m of them are favorable to an event, then the probability of happening or occurrence of A is denoted by PA, which is defined by the ratio m by n. I am saying it is between 0 and 1. How? See, probability of A is what? M by n. We know this, we have learned this just now. So when this m by n, now m is the total number of event. M is the favorable number of event and n are the total number of event. So when we say m will be lesser to n. M will be lesser to n. So m will be between 0 and n. So the favorable cases, because the favorable cases will be the subset of the sample space only. 1, 3, 5 is 3 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is 6. So 3 is less than 6. So this 6 will always be greater than 3. So m will always be lesser than n. And what is the probability of m will always be greater than n will always be greater than m, because if probability of getting a single number is 1, it is m. And what is the total number? 6. So total number will always be greater or equal to the favorable cases. So m is between 0 and n. Now let us divide, and it will eventually be greater than 0 also. Now let us divide both sides by n. So it will be m by n. This is going to be 1. M by n is PA. We already seen this. So 0, it is greater than 0. Probability of A less than or equal to 1. So probability of A is between 0 and 1. See, if PA is equal to 0, that means this is an impossible event. This will never happen, whatever you do. And PA equal to 1, this is the sure event. Whenever you do the experiment, this will always happen. Now this all you understood? Now I am adding one more thing. Probability of happening an event, probability of not happening an event. Probability of happening is m by n. So when m is not happening, that is m minus n is happening. So say m is the favorable case. So what are the non-favorable cases? N minus n. Because 1, 3, 5 has come, 2, 4, 6 has not come. So 6 minus 3, that is 3, 2, 4, 6. This is happening. One thing is happening, one thing is not happening. So if one thing is not happening, what will be that? The total number minus the things which are happening. So n minus m is the number of non-favorable case. So probability of not happening is number of non-favorable cases, that is n minus m, divided by the total number of cases. So n minus m by n, right? So probability of A bar is equal to n minus m by n. Now how do we write it? This is n by n minus m by n. N by n is 1, m by n, and 1 minus m by n. M by n is what? Probability of A. M by n is probability of A. We already seen this. So PA bar is equal to 1 minus PA. Now just P take here, PA bar plus PA equals to 1. This means probability of happening and probability of not happening, if you add it, it is going to be 1, right? Probability of happening and not happening is equal to 1. So whenever it is, sometimes you need to find out something is not happening to find out something is happening, and vice versa. Something is happening, not happening can be found out. Something is not happening, what is happening can be found out using this formula. So we started talking about axiomatic probability, that is providing a value to the events. Now, in all these, we have different type of examples. So in NCERT, there are certain questions, and in this RD Sharma also there are certain questions. So we will try to take some questions. What kind of questions it can be? For example, problem based on construction of sample space. So sample space. So different type of questions we are going to take. So you have to take the book, and then you have to see some of the questions we are going to take. Just when we solve our problems of the exercise, then we are aware of how to solve it. So the first one is, a die has two faces with each number 1, 3 faces each with number 2, and 1 face with number 2, and face with number 3, the die is rolled. Then you have to find out, these are 3 options. So let us see one of them. Okay, a die has how many faces? There are 6 faces. A die has 6 faces. So there are 6 number in all. And this is not a fair die. This is not a fair die. That is, let us imagine a die has 2 faces with each number 1. So assume this is 1 and 1. 3 faces with 2. 3 of them 2. And one of them has number 3. Please remember, 2 faces, this is not 1, I'll just change it. 2 faces, 1 number, 3 faces, 2 number, and 1 face, number is 3. So if the die is rolled once, we have to determine. So what we have to find out? P2, P1 and 3, 1 or 3 and P not 3. So what is the probability of 2? First, how many elementary events are there? So don't worry about the repetition, because whenever you throw it, a new 2 will come, a new 3 will come, a new 1 will come. Right? So 1 to 6 is the fair die. 1 to 6. Faces are 6. So sample space will be, for fair die it will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But in this case, since there are 2 faces with 1 and 3 faces with 2. So there are 2 faces with 1. So 1, 1 I am typing, 1, 1. And then 2, 2, 2, 3 times, and 3 1 time. So there are 6. So what are the total number of elementary events again? It has to be 6, because there are 6 faces. So first is probability of getting 2. So probability of getting 2, how many times 2 can come? 3 times. So favorable cases are 3. 1, 2, 3. 2 are coming 3 times. So the favorable cases are 3. And just count how many times 2 is coming. So favorable cases we represented by M, and M by N is the probability. M is the favorable cases, N is the total number of cases. So 6 are the total number of cases. So 3 by 6 is half. Second one is, out of this P1 or 3. So P1 or 3. So there are 2 ways we can do. Either we can find out 1, probability of 1, and then probability of 3, and then we can add it. This is the way you can do. Or otherwise, you can find out how many times 1 and how many times 3 are coming. So 1 is coming 2 times, 3 is coming 1 time. 1 is coming 2 times, 3 is coming 1 time. So 2 plus 1 is 3. I'm not adding up the numbers. I'm adding how many times these numbers are coming. So total number of cases are 6 and favorable cases are 3. So 1 by 2 is the answer. Now third one is probability of not 3. So in these cases, we find the probability of happening, and then we subtract it probability of not happening. That is, probability of certain event not happening plus probability of happening equals 1. We already seen this. So probability of not happening, if we have to find out, 1 minus PA, probability of happening. So what is probability of 3? 1 by 3, because only 3 is coming 1 time. 6 is total number of cases. So not happening is what? 1 minus 1 by 6. That is 5 by 6. Okay. So these were the type. First type. Now second one is problem based upon combination or selections. So let us take the first one. How the question are being solved. So one card is drawn from pack of 52 cards. Each of the 52 cards being equally likely to be drawn. Find the probability that the card drawn is an ace, red, either red or king, red and a king. Okay. So there are 52 cards, and in the pack of 52 cards, how many cards are divided? There are 4 suites. Okay, there are 4 suites, 13, 13, 13, 13. 26 means 13, 13. 26 are black, and 26, 13, 13, they are red. And each suite 13, 13 will have its own 4 special cards, like an ace, like a king. So in order to get an ace, because one card is being taken, in order to get an ace, so you see how many times or the way of getting a card, total number out of 52 cards, 52 C1 are the ways of getting one card. So 52 C1. Okay, this is 52. This is sample space. So sample space is 52. Let me tell you again. Out of 52 cards, one card can be drawn in 52 C1. And ace means, see, you know, there are 56 cards, 4 suites. Every suite will have their own ace. So there are 4 aces in all. In all, there will be 4 aces. So 4 aces, favorable cases are 4. And how many sample spaces on elementary events? That is 52. So 4 by 52, you can write it as 1 by 13. Second one, red. Now you see, this second one, see, getting a red. So 26 are red and 52 are total possibility. 1 by 2 is the answer. Third is either red or king. It can be a red, it can be a king also. So red will have 2 king, 13, 13, because 26 red cards are there. So 113 will have 1 king, other 13 will have 1 king, and there will be red also. So either red or king. See, there are 26 red, 26 black. In 26, there are 13, 13. Different suite, 2 suite. But 1 ace and 1 ace will be in 13, 13 suite. So 26, in 26 red, there are 2 red. There are 2 red kings basically. But kings can, it is saying king can come from black also because it is OR. So 2 are coming from the red cards. They are king. Other cards we are not interested. Only king we are interested. So there are in all 4 kings. And how many red cards are there? 26. But 2 are from red only. So 26 total cards red plus 2 from the black. So in all 28 is the favorable cases. Right? Because in black we can just have only king because others are not required here. So 26 cards, 13, 13 and 2 from black. So 28 is the total number of total number of favorable cases. You can also call it as 28C1 and then divided by 52. So the answer will be 28 divided by 52. Okay. Now the fourth one. Now here we are talking about and red and a king. Red and a king. So in red, how many kings are there? 2. Because it has to be red also and it has to be king also. Together. So in red and king, there are only 2 kings which are red. So there are only favorable cases 2. Right? What I am suggesting here is, there are two reds and 2 kings. Other reds we are not interested. Only kings we are interested. So these are 2 and you can divide it by 52. So it's going to be 126. 7 by 13, 28 by 52 was. Okay, this is another type of solution. Now let us take one more type. Okay. I'm just turning my pages. Problem based upon permutation and arrangements. Problems based upon permutations and arrangements. Okay. So this, you have to know about permutation, combination, arrangements before solving this. Because in probability, it's heavily dependent on these arrangements, combinations, permutations, right? So in the letters of word society are placed at random in a row. What is the probability that 3 vowel come together? Okay, let us see here. Society, let us write society first. SOCIETY. Now we have to find out These are all, this society is the word which have meaning, but the society can be in any form. It's in random. And what are the vowels? A, E, I, O, U are vowels, and then others of the alphabet, 26 alphabet, are consonants. Oh, okay. So we have O, I, E. These are vowels. Let us keep them together. O, I, E, we are keeping them together. So how many alphabets are there? 7 alphabets are there. 7 letters are there. In this 7, how many types we can arrange of ways? Factorial 7. This we already know. So these are 7 total. We can arrange them in factorial 7 ways. So sample space is basically factorial 7. You don't have to multiply it 7 into 6 into till 1. You just say these are factorial 7. Now coming to the favorable cases. Now O, I, E has to be together. All these 3 letters have to be together. So what do we do? See, let me take an example. S, C, I am taking a random. S, C, T, Y. Now O, I, E I kept together. So these are the different forms. There will be plenty forms. I will just see how many forms can be there. So S, C, T, Y, O, I, E. So 4 is S, C, T, Y, and O, I, E we are saying that they are together. They will always be together. So 4 is S, C, T, Y, means if you subtract this O, I, E, 4 will remain, and O, I, E, because they are coming together, we say that it is 1 only. So 4 plus 1, 5. Factorial 5 are the ways in which this SC society letters can be arranged. But OIE by itself, there are 3 letters. They can also be arranged in 3 ways. For example, IOE is there, EOI is there. So there are certain ways. 6 ways they can be arranged. So you have to multiply it. So factorial 5 and factorial 3. Now this will be the total number of favorable cases. Okay. Now internally OIE will also be done. So factorial 3, factorial 5 for all of these. So what is the favorable cases? Factorial 5 into factorial 3. And what is the total number of cases? Factorial 7. Factorial 7 we will write in the denominator. So in all, if you see, it's 1 by 7 is the probability if you solve it. So this is one more type. Okay. There are miscellaneous problems also. So let us take one of the miscellaneous also. We can take NCERT, but we can take others also if you want. So let us take NCERT only, okay. So this is the 47th question of page 33.43 actually, but doesn't matter, the addition will be different of your. So a fair coin with 1 marked on one face and 6 on the other and fair die are both tossed. Find the probability that the sum of numbers that turn up is 3 and 12. Okay, you need to understand first what is the concept. So they have combined a coin and a fair die. So you play it in Ludos. So we have die. Die has 6 faces. So number will be from 1 to 6. Right? Now this fair coin. These are no. It's not a fair. Fair coin means 1 will be marked on the front face. 6 will be marked on other face. So it is not a fair coin, okay? It's saying just not head and tail, but 1 and 6. So we are tossing them together, 1 by 1. Okay? So see, we have to find out what are the ways in 3 will come and 12 will come. So first, we have to find out the sample space. The basic work in this in the question is following a sample case. So let us say 1 is coming in the first coin. Okay, coin. So in the die, 1 to 6 can come. So we can have a combination of 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4, 1, 5, 1, 6. When the coin is going to give you 1, there are all possible combination with 1 to 6. So 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4, 1, 5, 1, 6. This is when the one face is up and the die is also giving you 1 to 6. Now when the upper face is 6, for the same coin, if the upper is coming as 6, then what happens? Again 1 to 6 will come in the die. So 6 1, 6 2, 6 3, 6 4, 6 5, 6 6. These are all the possibilities. So this is our sample space. Now the total has to come as 3. So if you see, only one elementary event, 1 comma 2 is going to give you result of 3. 1 plus 2 is 3. There is no other elementary event. When you add them, it's going to be 3. So number of favorable cases, is only 1. And how many total number of cases in the sample space? These are 12. 6 here, 6 here. So 12 are the total number of possible cases. 1 is the favorable cases. So answer will be 1 by 12. The second one. Okay, total number is 12. So 12 is what? Two numbers added 12. When it is going to come? It is only going to come when you add 6 and 6. Okay, 6 and 6. So 6 is 12. So there is also here 1 is the favorable case and total number of cases is 12. So 1 by 12. Right? This is the answer. Addition theorems on probability. So many times the basic definition of probability, axiomatic probability, that is the probability of event happening, is m by n. M is the favorable event, that is you can say favorable outcomes basically, and n are the total number of possible outcomes. Many times you are not able to find out, or we are not able to conceive these favorable outcomes. So what do? So we have addition theorems on probability, different theorems that will help us to solve this kind of problems. The first thing is, so theorem number 1 I am saying, if A and B are two events associated with a random experiment, this A and B are two events. So what you see here is probability of A union B, that is both happen, A happen or B happen. It will be equal to probability of A plus probability of B, and then you have to remove the probability of both happening simultaneously together. Both has to happen. So P A intersection B. Okay. If this A and B, if these are mutually exclusive means A will happen, B won't happen, and vice versa. So A intersection B will be 0. It will be 0. So mutually exclusive PA intersection B will be equal to 0. So the formula will become PA union B equals, because this is going to be 0, so it will be PA plus PB. PA plus PB. So there is one more theorem. Theorem is, because we have taken two events, now we are taking three events. Same thing will remain. That is, if A, B, C are three events associated with a random experiment, PA union B union C, it will be PA plus PB plus PC. And now you have to subtract the intersection of two at a time. That is, you have to subtract PA intersection B, then PB intersection C, then PA intersection C. Then you have to add P A intersection B intersection C. Please remember, we have to add here, because in the previous theorem you might have seen that the two intersection means pairwise intersection was subtracted. Here also pairwise subtraction is subtracted, but we are adding when all the three are happening. It would be very, very clear with the Venn diagram, but we are not discussing it right now. This is the theorem number 2. Again, if A, B, C are mutually exclusive, these all four say the parts of the equation will be 0. Only PA plus PB plus PC will remain. There are a few more theorems. I'll just write it and I'll show you in the examples how to use it and what does it mean. The first one is, so A and B are two events. The first one is the probability of occurrence of B only. That is, A is not happening, A bar, that is why we are taking A bar, intersection B. So A is not happening, only B is happening. So this is known as the probability of occurrence of B only, right? So A is not happening, B is happening. So that is how B minus P, A intersection B, you can write it. Second one is, we are just changing the A and B. That is, this is known as the probability of occurrence of A only. That is, B is not happening, only A is happening. So we have same analogy, PA minus PA intersection B. Okay. The third one is the probability of occurrence of exactly one of the two events. Exactly one of the two events will happen. So probability, see here, B is not happening, so A intersection B. And then A is not happening, so A bar intersection B. And then we are taking the union. So again, this is the probability of occurrence of exactly one of the two events, A and B. So PA plus PB minus 2P A intersection B, right? So these are the two events A and B associated with a random experiment. This gives you following instruction. Now there are, if you associate a number, then you will see the relationship between all these what we have seen. That is PA intersection B will always be the lesser number, will be lesser than PA and PB. We can add PB also here. And it will be less than PA union B, and that will always be less or equal. See, it is less than or equal to PA plus PB. So it is less than or equal to always, not less than or equal to. So the highest number, if you assign a probability, will always be PA plus PB, and the lowest one will be PA intersection B. There is one more theorem, because we have already seen this. For any two events A and B, the probability that exactly one of A and B, exactly one A and B will occur. We have already seen this in the theorem just now. So this PA plus PB minus 2PA union B, this we have already seen. So same thing can be written as the probability that exactly one of A and B occurs is given by PA union B minus PA intersection B, right? So we will be writing it like this. Whenever the problem will come, we'll try to solve finding this A union B and A intersection C. So let us take the illustrative examples. There are different kind of example. So type 1 is problems based upon formula. So let us take the first one only. Let me just show you the example. It will be there in your book if you are following R.D. Sharma. The probability of A is 3 by 5. Probability of B is 1 by 5. Find P, A or B if A and B are mutually exclusive event. A or B you have to find out. So PA is given as 3 by 5. PB is 1 by 5. PA and B. So PA and B, as we know the theorem, PA plus PB minus P, A intersection B, right? But the thing is they are mutually exclusive. So this will be 0. A intersection B will be 0. So PA union will be simply 3 by 5 plus 1 by 5 PA plus PB. So that will give you 4 by 5. So this is how you are going to apply the formula. This is the problem based on formula. The next type is problem based upon addition theorems of probability, but can be solved independently by using the definition only. So we can use the formula also and definition also. So both of these we are going to combine, and then we will arrive at the solution. So first one we will take. This is just for your know-how, because when you jump into the solution, then you will be able to know what we have done. So amalgamation basically of formula and the thought of probability. Find the probability of getting an even number on the first die, or a total of 8 in a single throw of 2 die. So this is OR. We have to find A or B. This has to be very clear. P, A or B. So what is the event A? So we need to find out the probability of A, and the event B, which is probability of B. The event A is given by getting an even number on the first die, and the B event is getting a total of 8. That is in both, because both the die are thrown simultaneously. The total has to be 8. So there are 2 dice, right? There are 2 die. One will give you from number from 1 to 6. Another will also give you number from 1 to 6, because these are fair die, 1 to 6 and 1 to 6. So let us see what will be the sample space. First let us find out, because it will be 6 number from 1, 6 number to 2, so 6 into 6, 36 is NS. But before getting to this, let us see A. A will always have an even number in the first die. So what are the elementary events? We won't take 1 or 3 or 5, because the first can only contain 2, 4 and 6. So the other can contain any number, 1 to 6. So 2, 1, then 2, 2. See, 2 and 1 to 6 combination, 4 and 1 to 6 combination, and 6 and 1 to 6 combination. So 2, 1, 2, 2, 2, 3. This goes up to 6, 2, 4, 2, 5, 2, 6. Okay. Now, next one is, you will not take 3 because the first cannot contain odd. So 4 1 till 4 6. Again, you will not take 5. Only 6 can come in the first one. 6 1 till 6 6. So these are 6, these are 6, these are 6. 6 into 3 is 18. So total number of elementary even in A, NA, number of elements in A is going to be 18. Now next one is B. Now total number should be 8 if you take both these die. So we have already seen this in the earlier discussions. The B event will be when 2 comes in the first and 6 in the second. When 6 comes in the first, 2 in the second. When 4 comes in both the die. When 3 comes in the first one and 5 comes in the second one, and vice versa. So all these are combination, means all these are the favorable event. So these are, how many numbers are there? 5. So you see total number of sample space in all the event which are possible. This is 1 to 6, this is 1 to 6. So total number of possible cases are 6 into 6. So it is 36. So total number of elements in that is total number of outcomes possible. Total possible event you can say is going to be 6 into 6. 36 it is. So now you see the probability of A, it will be the favorable cases for A divided by total number of cases. Favorable is 18 here and total number is 36. 6 into 6, 36. Now what is the probability of B? Total number of favorable cases is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5. Elementary events 5. And total number of cases are 36. Okay. Now since we know P, A or B, for that we need a formula. P, A or B. P, A union B. How do I know? Because it's clear in the question, we have to find first event or a second event. So A or B we have to find out. A or B. So let us take PA plus PB minus PA intersection B. Right? So we have to find out the intersection also. So let us take the intersection. You have to see 2, 6, 6, 2, 4, 4, 5, 3, 3, 5, whether it is existing in the A or not. Or you see whatever both A and B are containing. 5, 3, 3, 5 you won't find because the first number cannot be an odd number. Only 3 are possible. So the intersection is only 3. So probability of A intersection B is going to be 3 is the favorable cases. Those which are common in both those set. 3. Total number of cases are 36. So let us put it here. 18 by 36 plus 5 by 6 minus 3 by 36. Okay. This is going to be 5 by 9. Okay. So we applied the definition also and then we applied the formula also. Okay. Coming to the type 3. Third type. So this is saying problems which can be solved by using addition theorem only. So you have to apply the addition theorem, then only these questions will be solved, right? So let us apply. Let us take the question number. Let us take 23, example 23. In my addition, this is example 23, but maybe in your book, different edition, this will not be example 23. Okay. So just give some time, see this question and find it in your book, and then you come and let us solve it. The probability that a person will get an electric contract is 2 by 5, and the probability that he will not get a plumbing contract is 4 by 7. If the probability of getting at least one contract is 2 by 3, what is the probability that he will get both? So plumbing means anything related to water supply, okay, maintenance and installation. Then electric contract related to electric supply and installation and maintenance. So let us take event A and event B. A is the event that person gets an electric contract. Let us take a B also, person getting a plumbing contract. So we have two different events we have taken. So probability of A is 2 by 5 in this. It is given here. So probability of getting an electric contract is 2 by 5. Probability of the question is not getting an plumbing contract is 4 by 7. So PB not is given here. Not PB. It is PB not. PB complement. So this is 4 by 7. One more thing is given. At least one contract. There is PA union B is given. Either he gets electric contract or a plumbing contract or both. So PA union B is given by 2 by 2 by 3. Let us apply the formula. PA union B is equal to PA. This is not a theorem actually, it's a formula. So PA plus PB minus PA intersection B, right? So you see here, PA union B is 2 by 3. PA is given by 2 by 5. PB not is given. So I'll just take it. But here we have PA intersection B. So PB is to be found out by PB naught. So we know that happening and not happening of an event, if you add it, is going to be 1. So we have PB equals 1 minus PB bar, which is given already in the question as 4 by 7. 1 minus 4 by 7, that is going to be 7 minus 4 by 3, that is 3 by 7. So put it here. Now take this, you will be able to solve it. Take this PA intersection B one side, the other is here, and you'll finally find it to be 17 by 105. This is one more type. Okay. So this is all about the theory discussion. We have taken the examples just to let you know that how we apply what we have learned. But when we go to the actual questions, you will see all these examples are already there. So if you do the examples, if you are stuck in some example, don't worry. We'll be taking the solutions and we'll be able to solve it through mutual cooperation of you and me. Okay, bye-bye.